Welcome back to the second half of BFSI Finnovation Conclave organized by APAC News Network. Perhaps the toughest time of a conference to bring back people's attention. But I think the speakers and myself will do a justice to bring back your attention to this very serious topic of visualizing tomorrow's banking and cybersecurity challenges in the new normal. And for that, we have eminent speakers with us from the banking fraternity. I may say digital transformation leaders are here with us. Let me invite the Suresh Shankaran, VP Information Security Group, HDFC Bank Limited. Huge round of applause for him. We have with us Dhiraj Saxena, CGM and Head of Digital Banking and Emerging Payments, IDBI Bank. We welcome Mr. Dhiraj. We have with us Mr. Ashton D. Cruz, Director, Chief of Staff, CISO and Head of Governance, NatWest Marketplace in India. And we have with us Mr. Murali Mohan Rao Manduva, CTO of DCB Bank. And myself, Souvik, I'll be moderating the session. So, hi all. I think it's a very important topic we are discussing today. One aspect is security challenges, and other aspect is visualizing banking of tomorrow. And in both the cases, technology, emerging technologies is going to play a very, very important role. And you all are the digital transformation leaders from your own organization. So let me start with Mr. Suresh. My first question to you will be that if we talk about cybersecurity solutions, how do you think that the new age cybersecurity solutions can help banks or the BFSI organizations in terms of monitoring, detecting, preempting various kinds of threats? And what is your take on that, sir?
So, I am audible, right? Okay. So, see, as a bank, most of the banks have solutions like antivirus, basic solutions, firewalls, and so on and so forth. But today, we are in a position to collect lot of logs, lot of data. So you have your SIEM solution, you have your latest anti-APT solutions. So all these solutions help you to really make an in-depth analysis of what is going on in your IT ecosystem or your IT infrastructure. So this is a change. And day in and day out, we see many vendors coming in and proposing newer and newer solutions. So that will be a cat and mouse game where we have to actually balance how many solutions you actually want to put in your users, endpoints or servers. So this is the challenge and day-to-day happening in the banking sector. So today many people complain their machines have become slow because of so many agents. So and if we get one solution which is going to do everything, that is what will be a great way forward for banking and other institutions who are exposed to so many zero-day attacks, so much of hacking, so on and so forth. So this is something we are looking at, and we are also looking at hardened machines with and even the access control has to be limited. With the work from home scenario, people are actually working from home. We are just to put technical controls to ensure that they don't do any activity which is outside their purview. So we have solutions designed for work from home, which can actually even they have a camera which can record whatever you are doing. That is the ultimate kind of monitoring of staff. But there are endpoint solutions for work from home users where it can prevent you from taking any screenshots. You cannot put any key recorder or anything happening on the endpoint, even if it's a company endpoint. Suppose you have a vendor who is using his corporate laptop, he or she cannot do any mischief. So those kind of controls are there. They check for the version of your antivirus, your OS. So that way things are moving forward. We are able to control the environment. And the last, maybe the ultimate thing will be some camera looking at you 24 hours. So you start using the banking system, the camera will switch on. If you take a photograph, it will report it to your managers. So that is the way things are going. And even on the central server side, we hear a lot of activities on AI/ML. So, but the thing is, you can get the best of your solutions, but your legacy system should have all the logging and monitoring capability to feed all these AI/ML tools and equipment which can make meaningful analysis and raise alerts. So this is something at a general level I wanted to share
And I
in
think
the group.
also what you said also opens up a huge opportunity for the technology solution providers. That you were
Yes,
saying that
yes,
you're
yes.
looking for a system or a solution or a package, if I may say so, where you can see a comprehensive solution, end-to-end solution is there in one package,
Yeah.
which is not available maybe. That can be again the people who are present here, the technological solution providers. They may get a cue from what you are saying. I'll come back to you. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Dhiraj Saxena. Dhiraj, if we talk about dealing with spyware, malware, and all kinds of threat, what are the trends of leveraging sophisticated digital technology in recent past, and where do you see we are heading towards?
See, spyware and malware and all that, they're part of life now. है ना? People are exposed to it day in day out. हाँ? But now in the digital world, okay, now we are heading towards various technologies, right? AI, ML based, the rule engine based, say credit decisioning, okay, customer service, okay, all those kinds of things. And it is equally important that the person who is using it should be aware of all these. And right now, I think in general, in the metros and all, people are quite aware about these things, and they are very careful in using it. But at the same time, with these new technologies, say for example, if I may say voice biometrics, okay, one is biometric based authentication, okay, Aadhaar based authentication and all that, okay, that is fine. But what about voice biometrics? Though it is very premature as of now, but going forward, these are some of the major challenges for CISO. Okay, how to deal with it? Voice biometrics is not easy to, how to recognize. Okay, and suppose if I'm driving and there is a toll, I'll say, okay, recharge my FASTag. Okay, that type of things will come going forward, maybe in next 5 years or so it will come. So it's the role of a CISO is very challenging going forward, and obviously with work from home, as he said, also it's very difficult to deal with the data protection part of it. Okay, the data protection is like for BFSI sector. Okay, it's most important thing, right? Considering the regulations and all that, you cannot have a data breach which can happen in the organization, right? So my take is like CISOs, though I am on the other side of it, okay, I'm not CISO, I am from the digital banking side. So I think, and for me, I am impacted because right now CISOs are anything which is coming new, okay. CISOs are also taking a lot of, doing a lot of analysis and, to deal with it, how to take care of such security risk, okay, whether can we do a vendor risk assessment and things like that, okay. But still, the time is moving, right? So we have to act fast, and we have to take some external help also if required. But that is, nobody can guarantee it's foolproof, right? So we have to deal with it. We have to assume because something will happen, and it is happening. Some data breaches are still happening, right? But at our side, we should keep sufficient safeguards, okay, so that whatever known vulnerabilities are there, that will not impact us, right?
Right.
Thank you.
I think what Dhiraj has said, I saw Ashton is nodding his head. I think Dhiraj was talking about CISOs. Life of CISOs getting harder day by day. So let's have a perspective from Ashton. Ashton, you heard both the speakers, and when you talk about data security, securing the infrastructure, or anything securing, how do we manage? What are the challenges, and how do you think that technology can help in managing those kind of challenges. Your thoughts on that? If we say overall cybersecurity ecosystem.
Sure. Thanks for the question, Souvik. Before I give the answer, I must submit views, expressions that I expressed here are in my personal capacity, may or may not be subscribed to by my organization. Okay, so with that disclaimer in place, I'll come to the question. Okay, so
Noted and points taken.
okay, so coming to your query, what has changed in the recent past? The pandemic happened. We had 2 years of the pandemic. Again, that saw a vast change in the way our business resilience strategy worked. Okay, overnight we went from an in-office, a brick and mortar situation into a remote and a hybrid working environment. Okay, and when we say remote, it could be remote means work from anywhere, not just home. It could have been office, it could have been a park, it could have been anywhere in the world. It was a remote working environment. What that related and what that did to us, it basically almost overnight exponentially increased the surface area of our attack. Okay, where I was concentrated with maybe 3 office locations, maybe 5 to, for a larger organization, maybe 50, that has been exponentially increased almost 100 times overnight. And organizations were not quite ready for it. The second risk that got called out was basically in terms of unsecured endpoints. Okay, in office, everything is within the network, everything is in an infrastructure that is closely guarded. Overnight, we went into an unsecured setup. As a country, I don't think we were geared up for the change as well. So our connectivities, internet connectivity, etc., was also not up to the mark from day one. There was a lot of instability, etc. And most importantly, something that we tend to forget is humans and staff were not trained and not equipped to handle this change, because no one knew that they were going to be working from home or working remotely from the next day. So these were the 4 challenges that we have. Now let's come back to the new normal. What does the new normal say and what's the common ground? And when I say common ground, I speak across the BFSI sector, be it a bank, be it any other financial institutions, and maybe across industry segments in a way as well. Okay, we looking at now a hybrid work environment. Nowhere and very rarely, I think maybe some of the manufacturing factories, etc., need staff to get back in physical form to office. But most of us are now you looking at a hybrid work environment. Cloud adoption has become a must because easier to access from anywhere, scalability. Digitalization is the next buzzword. Digital transformation, innovation, digitalization. We basically moved from physical transactions to digital transactions. We've moved from physical presence and someone needing to be there in person to be able to transact in a way to now doing everything online. And lastly is the adoption of technology. Be it ML, be it AI, be it any of the next-gen technologies. That's what the new normal has brought about. Okay, so that's where we stand from a business perspective. What risk do I see as a CISO in terms of all of that? That's the large scale of opportunity to the dark web to be able to exploit the setups. Okay, again, something that I have said before, if I look at a hacker has opportunity across hundreds of organizations and hundreds of times that he can choose to attempt to get into an organization. He needs to succeed only once. What does the business have? Hundreds of threats all around trying to get into our system, and I cannot fail even once. So that's how skewed the setup is in favor of the other side. And given that, we have to basically manage it all. Okay. So, but as we say, change is constant, change is eternal. Take that into consideration and work on your strategies. Do not forget the human aspect of it, because humans are responsible for 80% of breaches that happen are basically through insider threats. Accidental, intentional, that doesn't matter. It is basically the cause.
Interesting. And you talked about cloud adoption. Also, you talked about AI, ML, other things. So let me take a perspective from Murali Mohan. Murali, your thoughts on how banks are embracing these emerging technologies like be it AI, ML, robotics, VR, voice-based solutions. I think banking system in India has come a long way, and they have been using technology in a big way. Especially in last 2 years, we have seen kind of transformation, digital transformation which has taken place. Where do you see India standing today, India's banking sector standing today, and maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line in terms of leveraging emerging technologies for digital transformation?
Yeah. I think from a India as a country perspective and from a futuristic, the regulatory view perspective, even before the pandemic has started, right? There are few great initiatives that the regulator and the government has taken in terms of creating a Aadhaar-based authentication for your KYC journeys, or introducing the UPI, which is the payment, which is every year it is almost doubling in terms of, and it created humongous opportunity in the ecosystem to create independent applications. So that's I think I would say that even before the pandemic has started, pandemic has come in, the digitization has got a big lever, that has been given by the government and the regulator. I think many of the banks have started utilizing those things, but the pandemic has only, given a lot of ammunition for a digital acceleration across different products, services, as the other panelists are saying. Overnight, we have become, we are forced to become a digital banking or digital organization. Not only from a finance industry perspective, every other industry was expected to, provide services digitally, because it's all remote working and things like that. So that's where I think with having that infrastructure already provided, and some of us have already adopted some of those, those initiatives, I think it has created a more level field. And the technologies that we talked about, with the digitization and with the kind of a customer base that we are dealing with, especially the millennials, where the tolerance is very, very low, and the expectations from a service is very high. So the expectation is that it has to be 24/7, anywhere banking, or doorstep banking. So this is the convenience that's been asked for, and that has become a new norm in the current state of things. And that's where, without having the sufficient technology bone created, it is highly difficult to meet any of those expectations. That's where when we look at RPA as a robotic process automation or a business process automation, that has really helped in automating many of the processes which otherwise were possibly silos, or they are disintegrated, and it was adding to your SLAs and TATs, right? And it's not one kind of a technology which can help you in bringing in a better or a personalized experience. For example, an RPA with an artificial intelligence will really give you a notch above, in terms of your service, in creating a personalized experience for your customers, and also to give a leverage in terms of an additional fraud detection, which otherwise would have been a manual process. I think the RPA, the artificial intelligence, which gives you that additional knowledge, helps you to create newer services and products, which we are seeing it in the current scenario of any of the banks. Like, you've seen multiple banks offering conversational AI and chatbots, wherein most of the rudimentary services like your customer support, or your ticketing, or your account opening process, or a KYC, re-KYC process, all of them have got automated with the help of these technologies. I don't think there is any industry or a bank which is taking which is not adopting any of these technologies. Otherwise, that becomes your existence is at a risk if you don't adapt to any of those technologies.
Adapt or perish, I think. We have to embrace technology, and we cannot shy away from technology and digital innovation. But I think it's also about, especially for a banking sector, just like the health sector, there always will be a marriage of physical and digital touch, as we say, phygital. But in many cases, in the banking sector, we see that that physical touch has been reduced. We hardly see any people going to banks nowadays. until unless some people still using a check or something like that. I think I remember in one of our events, one of the policymaker from the state of Uttar Pradesh has come. I think he was representing finance department of Uttar Pradesh. And he was saying that in UP, in Gautam Budh Nagar, that is Noida, the number of ATMs have gone down, and that has been done intentionally because not many people are going to even go into ATMs because most of them, as all of you have said in the beginning, UPI, digital payments and all those things. So it's a huge opportunity, but also a huge challenge to manage this kind of ecosystem. And I think there also technology is going to play an important role. Let me come back to Suresh on a different perspective. See, we have been going through a pandemic. I think we haven't seen this kind of situation in last 100 years after Spanish flu. Even Spanish flu did not affect so many continents, so many countries at this pace and together. But what COVID has done, it has brought back the attention to a very important part of the operation, that is managing critical events. It can be pandemic, it can be disaster, it can be anything. It's called CEM, critical event management. How much the banks are ready or the financial institutions ready in terms of digital infrastructure to foresee this kind of thing might happen in the future? Are we ready for that? Your thoughts on that?
So with the pandemic, I think many banks have learned how to manage long-term crisis situation. How do you manage a situation where people are not able to reach office for almost 6 months? So, and as a learning, what I saw in the organization is now there is you need a strong BCP team with involvement of stakeholders across functions. It is not a IT problem or a technology problem. You need support from all business leaders across the organization, and you daily, in case of a crisis, something like a pandemic, maybe you set up a bridge call every day in the morning, see what is happening. No, it is not a question of system getting hacked or not being available. It is more of people and resource have to be managed. If had it been a say flood situation, only a particular city would have got affected. Here we were in a situation where nobody is able to go to office all over the country. So this is something unprecedented. But I think again your technology should be accessible from wherever you are. So that is where whole systems got re-engineered. They were when many of them were legacy systems. We might have a 20-year-old system working fine till yesterday. Suddenly, there is a need that these systems have to be accessed from the home so that there is a customer service. Whole phone banking agents who worked in a very controlled environment will have to now forcefully work from home. Physically, collection agents used to go and collect money from defaulting customers. So it was a very radical change, and people have to be in a position where, be it you have to adopt a hybrid module of working. So you should be able to work from home as well as office. Maybe many organizations will end up working 3 to 4 days from office and still have 1 day or 2 days where they allow people to work from home, so that the systems are fine-tuned. Something happens similar like this, if there is a different wave, you are still able to address, and there will be a lot of change in the way you monitor your staff, your productivity, your people, so on and so forth. So this is something we see as a change, and many people are coming with many productivity monitoring tools. So they say just we can tell you your staff has done what in last 8 hours. So कितना Excel file खोला, क्या किया उसने, what kind of activity he did, which system he access, which Teams meeting he attended. So those kind of monitoring will also come. There will be a lot of data leakage prevention tools. DLP will be embedded. If anything abnormal, data leakage will not be restricted to name, address, phone number, Aadhaar number, PAN number. So anything related to your bank proprietary information, maybe you have some sensitive policy, even that if it gets leaked, banks will have to put rules and regulations so that they are able to and system controls to monitor all this. And there should also be sufficient awareness to the staff. Continuously, you have to tell them you are working from home. These are the controls. Use maybe secure Wi-Fi. Never go to some cyber cafe and access your bank system just because we are allowing you to work from home. So it will be all the people, process, technology factors will have to get revamped to handle any future crisis. And even the many organizations sustained through the COVID, that itself is a learning for all of us. Overall we will be, unless it is something like if there is a cashier, he can't work from home. So those people, you will have to make arrangements to send them to office. For example, I understand our bank made arrangements of bus when all the public transport was shut down. We set up special vehicles, taxis, buses to ensure that you transport the people, bring them back. And you also have to comply to all the municipal regulations. They put a regulation, not more than 20% of the staff should come to your office. So all these have to be factored in your next future BCP plans so that sustain, and people will still get if you take COVID as an example, people are bound to get infected. You have to take care of the people part also, ensure that there is adequate process tie-ups with hospitals, and that is also a human touch which we saw very much during this pandemic situation.
I think this also reminds me that we should all applaud the efforts of the banking fraternity along with the healthcare fraternity, what they have done during the COVID pandemic, because I think only only the healthcare workers and the banking workers, banking officials were working on field. So I think a big round of applause for the entire banking fraternity of the country. Thank you so much, because you were there. That's why you could also sustain. Dhiraj,
before you this, I just want to add one more thing here.
Yeah, I was coming to you only to add something on that.
Acha, okay, yeah. Okay. So what I have observed is that other than BFSI, okay, banks is highly regulated, and obviously they were allowed to work during pandemic, right? But at the same time, there are other companies, right, in other industries, right? They were not that lucky to go to office and work. Okay, so there, what I have observed is like a drastic change in the management approach towards security. Okay, so earlier, even though CISOs were trying hard to convince them to have proper, security appliances and tools and processes, but the investment was not sufficient. Okay, but now post-pandemic, everybody is aware, and there is a board level buying. Okay, on the security aspect of it. So that is a very good thing actually, which has happened because of this pandemic.
Ashton, your thoughts on that?
So we picked up on two sub-points here. One was around the business continuity piece of it. So again, as Suresh had alluded, traditionally pre-COVID and pre-pandemic, the pre-pandemic situation, our business continuity and our disaster recovery strategies were very traditional, and we concentrated on two of the three elements in the triangle, which is basically the technology and the processes. And they forgot about the people. What happened with the pandemic is technology was available, processes were all in place, the people went missing. And that got imposed by the lockdown, by the ailments that people were suffering from, the various restrictions. And the other part of business continuity in the traditional sense was they always thought some part of the world will be available. So and with natural disasters, etc., that's usually the case. Maybe one region goes down, the other region is available. You simply shift your processes for that intermediate time into the other region. Here, being a global phenomenon, everything went down. And not many organizations were ready for it. So that is the radical change that we have had in the way we now plan disaster recovery and business continuity. People have become important. It was always part of the triangle, people, processes, technology, but we somehow took it for granted in the past. We used to say staff will always be available. It could be technology that goes down. It could be our processes that get disrupted. So that was on the business continuity piece. Coming back to what Dhiraj has alluded to, we are speaking here as part of the BFSI sector, but different industries and different segments went through different challenges as well. BFSI to a large extent was digital pre-pandemic, but there were traditional and older school sectors which were purely manual, and they managed to survive the pandemic effect. So that's a big cheers to the human resilience and the ability for people to adapt to change.
True. Murali, your thoughts on this?
Just wanted to add one point, other than the healthcare workers, finance industry, etc. I think there is one horizontal, which is technology. Technology people who have possibly made this whole world running during the height of pandemic. They are the unsung heroes. Also, they're also part of the unsung heroes. Being a technology guy, I just wanted to, wanted to have a pat on my own back to say that the technology team was running 24/7 in that sense. So, see, on the BCP kind of a plans, I think I agree. Earlier, we used to have a traditional contingency plans. We have not seen, or we have not created, or maybe we would have created a contingency plan possibly on the paper, to the extent of a part of a failure or a subset of a failure. But pandemic has really, pushed all of us to the limit, to the extent that it's not only, of course, the whole region, whole country was down or locked down, but it is like, what kind of a contingency you have one person and a backup person, because you never know who is going to be impacted with the COVID, and we are going through a serious health kind of a challenge, especially on the cycle, on the wave 2 in India, right? So I think this has really helped in the sense that to really fix the nuts and bolts of the whole system, to create active kind of a system, bringing that system resilience, so that it is not one. There is no single point failure, and effectively we are able to use our, service the customers to the maximum possible, extent.
How do you visualize banking of tomorrow vis-a-vis embracing emerging technologies? Quickly, a minute to all of you. Let's start with you.
So I think we are seeing a lot of new fintechs, neobanks, or digital banks, what you call, or new emerging fintechs coming into this industry, especially with the backbone that is created in India, either in terms of the KYC or a payment or services. That's a good thing to see about, because one, it gives an accelerated or a customized journey for each of the customer. Of course, it's not going to take away the physical conversation with the bank. It's not going to completely take away. But a repeated, continuous processes like your payments, your bill payments or services, those are going to be taken into a digitization process. And I guess the fintechs and banks they're already working, extending and creating a win-win situation for each of the units or each of the organizations, to create a better world for our customers.
Right. Thank you. Ashton, quickly, your thoughts on that. A minute to you.
In a single sentence, digital banking is here to stay with a human face and touch. So till things are fine, we can rely on technology. The moment we need to do something different, something goes wrong, we need the human connect.
Dhiraj, your thoughts.
Yeah, I think going forward, digital is the way to go. Okay, so I would say digital is the new normal now. Okay, it is understood. Okay, it is known. Okay, and going forwards, fintechs. Okay, fintechs are very promising actually, and banks, in collaboration with the banks, I think the transformation is happening very fast. Okay, and that is the way forward, I would say. Rather than bank competing with the fintechs, I think banks are collaborating with the fintechs, and that is a good sign where finally the customers are getting benefited, right? So that is a very good thing, which I would say in the emerging.
Suresh, your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel there will be lot of cloud adoption. Every day we see new initiatives where they say you can launch a product tomorrow. I am having a SaaS solution and you don't have to do anything. You just buy my subscription and do the business from tomorrow. This is the a paradigm shift from a traditional way we used to implement systems, but there is also a possibility that all your traditional controls, layered security which you implemented might get diluted. So something which organizations will have to balance, and there will be a lot of possibility of new type of customer related frauds also. Maybe it is easy to go and hack a customer's mobile and steal money rather than trying to get into a bank. So we will see trends with huge digitization and new payment apps. There will be a lot of increased in frauds also. That is something, and again there will be a lot of solutions to tackle the fraud. So this will be a chain which I see in the future.
Right, right. Thank you so much to all of you for insightful session on the banking of tomorrow, visualizing banking of tomorrow, and also cybersecurity aspects. If I sum up, I'll be saying that banking of tomorrow will be depending on 3-4 things. How fast we're embracing emerging technologies, convergence of various solutions together, various thoughts together, and also creating that ecosystem where all the players are coming together and working as a team rather than working in silos. And that's how digital transformation is going to continue, which is going to transform the banking sector. And let's hope the life of CISOs won't be that hard in future. So thank you so much, all of you, for being part of this session. And with this, I would like to invite Mr. Rajneesh Dev, consulting editor of APAC News Network, to come on stage and hand over the souvenir, small appreciation for all of you who have been the digital transformation leaders from banks. This is our effort to recognize your efforts for your work. We'll start with Mr. Ashton D. Cruz, Director, Chief of Staff, CISO, NatWest Marketplace, India. A big round of applause for him, please. To Mr. Dhiraj Saxena, CGM and Head, Digital Banking, Emerging Payments, IDBI Bank. To Mr. Murali Mohan Rao Manduva, CTO, DCB Bank. To Mr. Suresh Shankaran, VP, Information Security Group, HDFC Bank Limited. Can we have a group photo, all the speakers together, please? Can we have a group photo of all the speakers together, please?